What's up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? It's your boy Goblin, and today we're coming in with a hoot and a holler, a true classic, if you will. Today we're coming in with a video talking about the time that I went to a party with my good friend Ashton, and the cops showed up. It got kind of ugly. We didn't really know anyone at this party, but he sold a lot of drugs. We were really intoxicated. It was a fun time. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Drop a like if you do. And also, I hope you guys are enjoying the more consistent uploads. I really appreciate all the new subscribers. For the past, 3 to 4 days, you've actually gotten over 250 new subscribers a day. So, to everyone new who's tuning in, thank you all so much for subscribing. I hope you guys enjoy the content. Be sure to turn notifications on to tune into my live streams too. Let's dive into it, baby. So listen, this happened a long fucking time ago. I'm really stoned right now, so I'm going to be bad with dates. I think how accurate I am with dates in all my videos really depends on how intoxicated I am at the time of recording. And I'm really high, so I don't really, month-wise, couldn't tell you, dude. But I know that I was 17 years old, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm going to say this had to be around, this was maybe April, May-ish of what year was that? 2017? 2016. Wow. That's a long time ago, dude. Holy fuck. 2016, pardon me. Holy fuck. So, about April of 2016, this took place. And me and my good friend Ashton, for those of you guys who aren't familiar with him, most of you guys, the vast majority are. A little brief summary. He was a good friend of mine who sold a lot of drugs, one of my closest friends. And unfortunately, he passed away a while ago. But this is one of my favorite stories about him, right? So, basically, we were hanging out one night. I used to go and pick him up because I had a car and he didn't. He didn't even have a license, right? And I used to always go pick him up and help him drive around and sell drugs, right? And I hit him up. It's a pretty normal evening. I'm like, "Hey, dude, what are you trying to do? You got any plans tonight? Let's get fucked up." Not expecting anything. He's like, "Yeah, dude, for sure, come pick me up. I got a party we can go to." And whenever Ashton said that he had a party, it didn't, we weren't going to party. We were going so he could sell drugs, and I would get to get fucked up and lit for free at a party all night. If we had to, pay admission, he would cover mine, or, he would just get me fucked up on drugs all night. It was great. In exchange for taking him there and kind of helping him set the scene, helping him out and, having his back. Because at parties, going in as a lone drug dealer to a party where you don't know anybody, that can be scary. You can get into a bad scenario very quickly in that environment, right? All it takes is to bump into the wrong group of guys who are just fucked up enough, and then that gets ugly. But if you got a homie, you're chilling. But either way, so I go pick him up. I whip my ass on over there. And Ashton had a bunch of drugs, right? He comes and hops in my car, and he's got Xans on him. He's got ketamine. He's got the goodies. And he hops in my car, and he's like, "Dude, I just got drug tested today," because he was on probation, right? So one day a month, literally, I kid you not, one day a month. He got drug tested monthly. He wasn't on the weekly random phone call kind of thing. He got a set schedule drug test. So he was able to smoke one day a month. That was all he would allow himself to do. So on this particular day, he hops in my car and he's like, "Dude, I can smoke." I was like, holy shit. Because these days were special. This guy loved smoking. I always had weed. And I felt bad because, he couldn't tap my blunts. You just have to sit there and watch me hit the blunt while we were, chilling together all the time. It sucked, right? So the one day a month was special. And the fact that we were going to a party made it even better. So I asked him right off the bat. I'm like, "When is this party? Where is it? Who's going? What's going on?" And he has basically no information. All he has is an address and a general idea of what time to get there. He's like, "Yeah, dude, we should probably just go when the sun goes down." And I was like, I was like, "Is that what time?" And he's like, "I don't know. That's probably when parties start." And I was like, "Oh, so you really don't know anything besides the fact that there's allegedly a party happening." And he was like, "Yeah, pretty much." Apparently, one of his customers told him about this party, and it was like from kids that like went to like some neighboring school, but like when we got there, I didn't recognize a single face, and he didn't seem to either. But it was pretty fun. So nevertheless, we're kind of like, all right, well, let's just hang out for a little bit, and then we'll go to this party. We'll go to wherever this address is and see what's going on, right? So we're hanging out, cruising around town, and we're smoking some blunts, and it's great, dude. We would smoke all night when the one day he was able to smoke, and then he would just not smoke for the entire rest of the month because he couldn't just tap one blunt and be done. Like, sure, his tolerance was always low. Like, he'd always get so fucking fried, but he could handle his shit, so he would smoke a fuckload. So like, even though he'd smoke once a month, holy shit, this guy would get ripped out of his mind. Like, this guy could drive on, like, every other drug. I don't want to say could, but, like, I'd seen him do it, and in all honesty, he wasn't crashing or anything, right? But when he smoked as much as he did with me on those, like, that one day out of the month, holy shit, we got so high because I smoked more than normal. And he would keep up. So we would just be fucked up. We would be stoned out of our minds. That classic kind of high school high. So we're cruising around stoned. We're high as fuck. We hit McDonald's, grab some food. We're just kind of chilling. We're just kind of trying to blow time. But we're both really stoned. We've just been rolling blunts all night, riding around smoking. Doing some serves here and there. No notable serves. Nothing like Crackhead Joe. Just dropping off to some other kids we went to school with and stuff. And finally, he's like, oh, we should probably ask about this party. So he hits up his guy, and he's like, hey, when's this party going on? And he's like, oh, whenever, dude. And he's like, oh, I guess it's going on now. Let's go. So we didn't really know, like, what kind of party this is going to be. We didn't know if there was going to be a shitload of people. We didn't know if there was going to be, like, 10 people. We didn't know, because the term party is always broad when you don't know anyone who's going. Because typically, it's a good sign if you're just like a complete stranger and you have no idea whose crib it is and you're going, because that's typically a sign of a big party. But that's not always the case. I mean, sometimes you could show up and it'll still be just some shit bucket party. But we pulled up. Ashton had the ketamine. Ashton had Xans. We had weed. We were big chilling. I even stocked up on some weed. He wasn't like... He didn't sell a ton of weed. Like, he would sell weed on occasion, but he never, like, stocked up on it. Because he was always like, dude, it's so hard to just have it and not smoke it. So he would never really sell it. But I brought a good amount. So I even sold a little bit of weed this night. So we pull up to where this address is. When I tell you, this was one of the, like, biggest parties I've ever been to by far. This was crazy. And it was one of those houses where it wasn't a big house. It was just one of those houses with a giant fucking backyard. Like one of those really suburban houses with a huge ass yard with like a little fire pit. Like there wasn't a bonfire going, but like they obviously would do that at this house. But like there's people pouring out of the back of the house. It's like motherfuckers are deep, dude. It's crazy. So we pull up and we're high as fuck and we have all these drugs on us and we're trying to figure out, like, should we leave some in the car? No, probably not. And we also figure we should probably park a little far away, and that's important. I'll get to why later. But we decide we should probably park around the block. I mean, there was no parking very close to the house, but even then, I didn't want to park, like, I didn't want to look like I was part of the group of cars, right? So we went and parked around the corner and just hiked it for like a block to get to this house, right? And there's people like sitting on the porch and shit, dude. There's like obviously like, I don't know if you call them security, but like the bouncer kids at the door collecting the money. And of course there's a fee for us to come in. They're like, you guys got a bottle? We're like, no. And we didn't want to like show what we had, right? We didn't want to go like, oh, we just have a fuckload of drugs and scales. So we were just like, oh, no, we didn't bring a bottle. And they were like, all right, that's $5 for each of you. So Ashton just hands the guy a 10. I'm like, good luck, my guy. Because listen, I probably didn't have a 5 on me. All I had was my weed and Ashton's scale, and I was trying to make some money. I probably didn't even have $5 at the time, honestly. I was a broke young man back then. We were hustling for every penny to pay for the weed back then because I'd spend all my money on weed. But either way, so we went into this party, right? And it's just shoulder to shoulder right off the bat. It's crazy. And it's one of those things where, like, in the kitchen, like, it's one of those houses where you walk in and you could see both levels, if that makes sense. Like, the entry is on the middle, and then you look up and you see this, like, upper half of the house, and then you see the basement, too. If you guys know what style of house I'm talking about, I feel like this is such an easy to picture, like, American suburban house for all of you, like, I don't know, Midwesterners out there, you know? You guys probably either, some of you guys might even live in this house that I'm describing. I don't know. I picture this so vividly right now. That, like, this is, like, such a stereotypical house. But either way, so we walk in and there's just people everywhere, even on the stairs, just everywhere. People got cups, some people got bottles, some people got cans. It's like, pardon me, everybody is just holding drinks and shoulder to shoulder in this bitch. It is murky, it is moist in this party. So we're kind of lurking around, we're trying to figure out what's going on. And whenever Ashton and I would go to these parties together, he would always go to sell drugs, like I said. But the funniest thing about it was the way he did it. And this is what we did for the most of the night, right? We would go around together and just kind of, like, merge our way through, like, the crowd if it was one of these big parties, and just, like, force ourselves into a group, or just, like, kind of, like, pick up on a conversation and join it, right? And then we'd always be like, he'd always be like, oh, like, you guys want some Coke or something? Like, almost like offering them, or like he'd be like, oh, you guys want some K, or like want to do some K? And like, if they didn't say hell yeah, I'd always be like, oh yeah, for sure, you know, like, and if they said yeah, I'd kind of go along with it. We had a little sales pitch, okay? We were some crafty little fuckers. So, or like with weed even, I do it with blunts. Like on this occasion, I did it with a blunt with this one group of people. But we would go around from group to group, and with the first group, it was this group of dudes. The most stereotypical suburban group of dudes ever. And they're like, oh yeah, dude, we're down. So we go find this little, like, empty counter space on the kitchen counter. And Ashton busts out a scale and a little bit of K. And he puts it on his debit card and just passes the card to me. And I do some, and then he does some. And we're getting lit at this point. We just now did some K for the first time the whole night, which was surprising. Ashton, usually, whenever you had it on him, he was always doing it in front of me, around me. But in this particular night, this is the first time I saw him do it, dude. Which was it was almost, like, scary, dude. I was like, is this a new man? I think it was the weed, honestly. Like, he only did it because we were in the party scenario. It was really crazy. But either way, we bumped this shit, and he's got the scale out, and then he looks over to these kids, and he goes, so how much did you guys want? And it's so, like, I remember the first time he did that with me, it was like, it was hilarious. It was like a scene out of a movie. The first time we did this to someone, he was like, dude, just go with it. Like, just watch this. Just go with it. I do this all the time. And he does this at this party to these complete strangers. Like, so funny. We didn't even know these kids' names. But just the way he set it up was so smart. Like, they look at it, they see how good it is, they watch us do it, get lit, and then he's like, how much you want? You know, it was just perfect. One of the kids ended up buying a decent little bit. I think he ended up buying, like, bumps for all his friends. And Ashton charged, like, $5 a bump. And parties are that perfect kind of scenario where you can do these little bumps and charge $5, 10 a line, all this crazy shit, and make racks. So we would just be going through these parties, going to different groups of people and doing this, where we just charge for bumps. We wouldn't, you know, like, we'd have a scale out, but he wouldn't scale bumps, you know? Like, it was more so, like, If they wanted, like, a half a gram or something, then, all right, let's go in the bathroom or something and scale out some shit. So we do this to a couple groups, right? And we're just kind of going from group to group, and it's going well. We're doing it with, you know, Zans. Zans are something where we can't just be like, hey, you want to go pop a Zan? We have to do it with, like, K or, like, weed. Like, you want to come hit this blunt or some shit like that. Or, like, at one point, we were even just walking around with a blunt, and people would, like, be like, yo, can we tap that? We just be like, yeah, you need some shit? Like, we just kind of trade off. So we were walking around. I was serving some weed. I sold a good little bit. Ashton was serving a good amount of K and a lot of Zans, actually, which was surprising. Everyone in there was drinking. And that's the cardinal rule. You don't drink on Zans. Everyone there was drinking and buying the Zans anyways. So he's walking around and making a ton of money. And finally, there's this group of ladies at the party, right? A very good-looking group of girls. It's like 3 girls, right? And me and Ashton are walking by. And Ashton, of course, he walks right up to him, and he's like, you guys want some K? One of the girls is like, yeah. One of the girls is like ready to go. So I'm like, all right, for sure. Let's see how this goes, because I figured these were some attractive women. Ashton was probably actually going to give them some ketamine, and he did. So we go over once again. We find a little empty counter space. And we're chilling, we're talking to these girls a little bit, and dude, we're getting bumped into, dude, it's like we're at a concert, like, it's ridiculous. This party was fucked. You could barely hear, we're, like, screaming at each other, it's like, what's your name, and that kind of shit. It's ridiculous. So, we're chilling, we're doing a little K, he gives me a bump first. Unfortunately, he didn't do ladies first. He said, fuck that shit, we don't do that. So, he gave me a bump, then he took a bump. Pardon me, I need to sip my soda. Holy shit. Dude, Dr. Pepper's, like, actually sick. But either way, so he gives me a bump, he takes himself a bump, and then he looks over to these girls, and he's like, so, which one of you guys would like a bump? And this one chick's like, oh, yeah, me. And, literally the most stereotypical chick you could imagine at a party. Just, like, pretty little blonde chick. And, like, a black, like, drug rug, dude. Like, literally just, like, very, very typical, like, drug girl at a party who wanted to do K probably all night, and this was like a heaven sent opportunity for her, So we're chatting, introducing ourselves, and we're having a good conversation, right? We're having a good old conversation, just doing our thing, and we only got the chance to talk to these girls for maybe like 5-10 minutes. Ashton wasn't trying to sell some drugs. We were just chilling a little bit. And of course there was one girl who was like kind of the odd one out, but not really, because like we weren't like hooking up with these chicks. We were literally just like conversating. We just met these girls. So we were like, oh, like, where are you guys from? How old are you guys? All that kind of shit. And just talking to them a bit. And as we're talking, doing this K, everything's going well, la-di-da-di-da. All of a sudden, there, like, the wave, like, the herd of people just starts moving, like, clearing the fuck out. But it's so loud that, like, you can't hear what anybody's saying. And finally, word gets around to where we're at that it's cops. And we're like, oh, it's time to go. And obviously this was gonna happen, right? Like, this shit was bound to fucking happen. Like, there's no way it wasn't. There was people standing out front, out back, on the sides of the house. It was loud as fuck. There was cars parked on both sides of the street, all the way down their entire block. It was literally, like, it was inevitable that the cops were going to get called to this party at one point or another. And they did. So they get called, and everyone starts moving, and we immediately just did. And these girls just kind of split off from us. Ashton's like, fuck that, dude. You got all your stuff? I'm like, yeah, I had, like, probably a zip. Not a zip. I probably had, like, 3/4 of my zip left at this point. And, like, I'm like, oh, shit, dude. We got to run. And listen, I'm not the quickest runner. I'm a chubby dude, and I always have been, all right? I'm not the fastest runner. Ashton was much faster than me. That guy was on probation from Grand Theft Auto, so I'd imagine he had to run at some point when he stole a car. So that kid had the legs, dude. That kid was definitely faster than me. But I was trying to keep up either way, and I kind of was out of adrenaline. And we run out of the house, right? We run through the backyard. And, like, the backyard is such a run. We don't go through the front. The backyard, like, is bigger than, like, the length of this backyard. I don't think I could, like, exaggerate. I don't think it's possible to exaggerate. This was the biggest yard I've, like, ever seen. And it was fenced in, too. It was all fenced in. So, like, someone had already gone to, like, a back corner of the fence and just kicked a hole in it. Like, there was already a part where it was just smashed. So we run through that, and there's people everywhere. It looked like there was, like, some sort of, like, zombie apocalypse happening where everyone was running because, like, someone's infected in the house, dude. It was fucking crazy. So we're just sprinting, and we realize pretty quickly as we're running, because I kind of catch up to him a little bit. He, like, waits up for me after we get out of the yard and notice that there's not, like, a million cops. And we're just kind of cutting through people's yards, but trying to stay away from everyone else. Social distancing, if you will. And we're like, we kind of rendezvous, and we're like, dude, where do we go? Like, what do we do? I don't think we can just go get in the car, you know? Like, I doubt the cops are, like, staking out. But at the same time, they probably are. And we have hella drugs on us. So it's not a chance we can really afford to take. So we go creeping around for a little bit through the neighborhood. And we're, like, lost at one point. We're trying to use our phones. But the problem is we're also trying to not be seen because we don't know where the cops are. Like, we never saw the front of the house. We saw siren. I'm certain there was cops, but we don't know where they are or how many, right? Like, not a clue. No information or briefing. And there's still people running past us. Like, there's literally still people pouring out of this house when we're like well away from the house now. It's crazy how many people were actually packed in there when everyone started flooding out, right? So we kind of swoop around the block a little bit, and we're like, oh, fuck. And we take a break. We crouch behind this backyard fence of one of the neighbors, and we do a little bit of ketamine to calm us down. And we're like, oh, shit, dude. We got to figure this out. So we're kind of walking around, and we're just looking around, trying to see if we see any cop cars or if we see an angle to get to our car, because we don't even know what street we're on. Like, we kind of do, but, like, we're just disoriented at this point. Like, even maps wasn't really helping very much. So finally, I don't know what kind of luck it was, but finally we're just like cutting between houses. And I just see my car between a gap in these houses. And I'm like, oh shit, there's the car. So we kind of wait. We wait a little bit until the amount of people really died down. And I only saw like 2 other kids. And there was this other group of kids, and they were doing the same thing. So they kind of like came over to me and Ashton, and they were like, yo, like, are there still cops? And we're like, that's why we're here, dude. Like, we don't know either. And Ashton, being the fucking criminal drug dealer he is, goes, yo, you guys need some Xans? And the kid actually buys one. He's like, yeah, dude, I'll take one, actually. So Ashton serves this kid a bar. And then we go our separate ways. Me and Ashton and this other pair. And we're still waiting. Like, they decide, like, they're like, all right, well, I'm gonna go this way. And we're like, all right, well, we're gonna wait here and try to see if cops go by. And we wait. I don't know, we didn't check the time, but what felt like 10-15 minutes, it felt like longer than that. It was probably like 5 minutes, and no cars even went by, really. Like, there was the flood of cars that had whipped out of the neighborhood had kind of gone. So we were like, all right, let's just go for it and lay low, you know? So what we did was we went and got in the car. Before I even turned the car on, we were super stealthy about it. We looked around, like, before we got to the car. First, of course, we like kind of snuck up. We were not very stealthy. We were fucked up, you know? Like, I'm pretty sure a trained cop, even an untrained cop, just like a intern at the station, would have seen us with a sober eye. But our intoxicated minds thought we were just brilliant. So we're like pinned to the side of the houses, like opposite of each other, and we're like looking like, oh, is your side clear? Yeah, my side's clear. Okay. So we go to the car, right? And we hop in the car. And we immediately stash our shit in, like, the most hidden spot we can reach under the seat. Because my car, at the time, I was driving my mom's Honda CR-V. So it wasn't, like, the greatest car. So, I mean, it just did, like, there's nowhere to hide shit. It's an open trunk car. Like, it's like a hatchback style SUV where, like, you know, you can access the trunk from the, well, wait, all SUVs are like that. I don't know why I said hatchback. That's just SUV. I'm stoned, dude, whatever. But either way, it's just like there's nowhere to really hide anything in this car. You know what I'm saying? So we just stash our drugs under the seat as best we can, and we drive out of the neighborhood real slowly. And we take a way out where we don't have to pass that house again or that street, but we did pass another cop on the way out of the neighborhood that was posted up, and we were tweaking. It was like a speed trap, but we knew he was just looking for people leaving, and we were like, oh, fuck. And luckily, he didn't pull us over or anything. We got out of there. We went, posted up somewhere else, and oh my god, holy shit, we were terrified, dude. We eventually got the fuck out of there. We didn't drive very far. We only went, like, down the block to a McDonald's, and we got some food and chilled out. I think we sat in the car for, like, an hour, just like, holy shit, dude. Like, what the fuck? And we were just chilling at McDonald's, and eventually we called it a night, went home, and it was a pretty fun evening. We were kind of sad that we never got to meet or see those girls ever again. The one girl was really, really macking on Ashton, but either way, still a cool night, and he made good money. I made a little bit too, and I smoked some weed. Did free drugs, so I can't complain. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Drop a like if you do, or did, pardon me. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Also, don't forget to tune in to tonight's live stream. Be sure to turn on notifications and follow me on Twitter to find out when I go live. Peace out, gamers.